In South Africa today, tensions between the government and the native populace reached a breaking point after the controversial referendum on the status of the monarchy. During a protest outside of Parliament in Cape Town, South African police opened fire, resulting in at least 30 deaths. The African National Congress have called the massacre senseless violence towards those who wish to govern their own land. In response, ANC militants have intensified their attacks against government forces. A representative had this to say:
"The struggle is going to be long. It is going to be difficult. It is going to be bloody, but we have no illusions. We have no choice. We have not chosen armed struggle for love of violence, for love of bloodshed, for hatred of the white man. We hate the system imposed on us by the white man. We hate oppression. We hate humiliation. Therefore, for us, the South African problem will not be decided in Zurich or wherever, but inside South Africa, within the South African borders. And it is going to be decided by the black people inside South Africa."
In the Northeast, violence broke out between government forces and Boer militias, particularly in and around the city of Pretoria. The South African government has declared a state of martial law in the Transvaal and Orange Free State regions, hoping to return order. Jim Rawlings with this special report.
Once more, blood is spilled in the northeast of South Africa as Boer militias and the South African Defence Forces clash in the Transvaal and Orange Free State. Following the royal referendum, which saw the monarchy remain, a call to action by the National Party resulted in uprisings by militias in the region. These militias, also called commandos, attacked South African military positions and raided local armories. Prime Minister de Villiers Graaf called these violent actions the tantrums of a spoiled people, declaring martial law. South African troops began to flow into the region, but were quickly buffeted by ambushes from the bush. Since the British Empire took control of South Africa, violence between the Boer people, descendants of Dutch settlers to the region, and the government have been a frequent occurrence. In the late 1800s and early 1900s, two major wars took place which saw Britain keep control of the colony. But following World War II and subsequent collapse of the empire, the Boer people have made their allegiance known by aligning themselves with the Einheitspact. It is suspected by United Party officials in Cape Town that the current uprising is the result of German meddling in South African affairs. Back to you, Tom.
Furthering tensions in the region, the Rijkskommissariats of Ostafrika, Central Africa, and Zuidwest Africa have signed a pact forming an alliance calling itself the Africa Shield. Following Adolf Hitler's death and the collapse of the Greater German Reich into civil war, the Rijkskommissariats were left on their own without support from their homeland. Though it is declared to be a defensive pact only, the rising tensions in South Africa between the government and Boer people lead U.S. officials to believe that the Africa Shield will further embolden Boer separatists. In Britain today, forces from Her Majesty's Most Loyal Resistance took credit for the assassination of